Hello, and welcome to It's Fate. I'm Katie Christiansen.
And I'm Morgan Barker.
Today we are reading A Court of Frost and Starlight, chapters 14 and 28.
Yes. And in honor of winter solstice, which is around Christmas time, we are wearing our cozy, jammy Christmas vibes.
Yeah. Speaking of Christmas, you have a birthday in December.
I do.
My mom and my sister both have a birthday in December.
Oh.
How do you feel having being a December baby? It's close to Christmas. Which
Mixed feelings. Yes. So it's not about the being, kind of. Here's the thing. I basically get gifts once a year, even though it's for 2 birthdays.
Yeah.
Anytime I'm like, oh, this is something I would love, but I'm not going to buy this for myself. It's March. I'm I have to wait until December. And then I forget about it.
And then you're like, wait, I don't even need this.
Yeah. So just it would be nice to kind of space that out. Also, my husband's birthday is also in December. And so it just feels very busy and very expensive. And so those things can make it kind of rob the joy of it.
Yeah.
So I don't love it. I love the idea of it. I love winter. I love Christmas because I love buying people gifts. But it just feels so hectic all the time that I'm oh, I kind of wish it was different so I wouldn't feel stressed during my birthday.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's not my fave, but whatever. It is what it is. It's not going anywhere.
No. And Malachi's birthday, your son.
Yes, he's May 2nd.
My mom wanted me in May, but that's
February. That's way
I know. She
earlier.
Just happened. It happens.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Whatever.
Our anniversary is May.
Where we live, it's pretty she wanted a spring baby because I think my sister's born in December too.
Oh,
my mom. So I think she was we'll have a spring baby, separate them a little bit. But where we live, it's pretty mild at the end of February. So
yeah,
it's pretty.
Yeah, Michael and I have talked okay, we want more kids, but we really don't want another December birthday. Maybe not even November or January. We just need some breathing room.
Maybe summer, middle of summer.
If only it was so easy to plan that way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can try, but it doesn't always work out.
Your body's not always.
Yeah. Doesn't always listen to what I want a lot of the times. Okay. So we start off with Rhys's point of view. Rhys and Mor take a walk around some rubble in Valaris, and they discuss Kyr coming to Valaris and that Rhys wants Mor to go to the continent to make allies with other kingdoms. They're walking in the area where there's all this rubble, and I guess I didn't realize how bad the attack on Valaris was when reading, because I didn't realize there were complete estates that were destroyed to the point that people still don't live there.
I didn't realize that either.
Yeah.
I feel it wasn't very well described in ACOFAS.
Yeah, and it felt very isolated to certain spots, shops and stuff. So
yeah, not people's homes.
Yeah, I didn't realize how vast it was. Rhys also comments on how he's left Eris and Kyr's death to Mor, which we talk about a lot, and he wonders why she waited so long, but guess what? Hasn't asked her. Are you kidding me? Do you think you would have asked her?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd be so when are you killing your daddy?
Do you need help?
I have powers.
I'm the most powerful High Lord in prison history.
And I'm hot, so.
They're cousins. Come on.
I'm just throwing that out there as it's on his resume.
Yeah, it is on his resume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, supposedly they're best friends, but.
They don't talk. Weird. And I can't remember exactly, but Mor ends up doing a lot of the constant stuff for most of Silver Flames, right?
Yes.
Do you think it's possible we could get a book during the same timeline as Silver Flames, but from Mor's perspective on the continent?
Ooh, maybe a little novella?
Yeah, because I just feel we don't get, I don't really know what's happening over there. We just get little tidbits. And there's little hints that she's really sad all the time.
Yeah.
Which we've already kind of known, but it's showing more.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. More, so when Rhys brings up that Kyr is probably going to visit Valaris soon, And she feels like if she like leaves the continent, it'll make it seem to her father that she's like scared of him and that like he kind of ran her off. She's just like is so concerned about the way that her dad views her still. Like she hates him, but she's still grappling with this, like she cares about his opinion.
Yeah, I think that probably feeds in a little bit to like why she hasn't just killed the Court of Nightmares off. Like there's so many layers there that she hasn't navigated. And I feel like if she were to actually deal with them, like go to therapy and process these things, she wouldn't want to kill him anymore.
No, I think she'd be like, I'm just not going to see you. And if I ever do have to see you, bye.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we get Feyre's point of view, and Feyre and Elaine, they go shop for winter solstice. Feyre paints and talks to Rhys about opening up a studio to help people heal. And Feyre visits Amren to try and get some tea on Nesta.
Ooh. Okay, the conversation while they're shopping, they have a conversation with the Weaver, not the Weaver of the Woods, just a Weaver. And it was really powerful and made me emotional. And what happens here is, for those of you who can't remember, there's a tapestry that is made of like pure darkness. Like it's almost like darkness has come to life. And when Farah asks the Weaver about it, she says that she calls it void, and she literally found a way to weave darkness. And she figured that out after her husband didn't return from the first battle of the war at Adriata. And then, that made Farah and Elaine both very sad. And then she asked, well, what about the silver? And the silver is etched into the tapestry to like have the Night Court emblem on it. And it's not just silver. It's like iridescent. Like it also looks very magical. And she said that one is called Hope. And she says that she created Hope after she mastered Void. And I just thought this was so beautiful and makes me think of Farah and Rhys and Nesta and like all these characters that like sometimes you have to go through the darkness and you have to process that darkness in order to get to the silver lining, the hope. And I love that she told Farah that she has to keep creating because there would be no hope in the void. It would just be void.
I think that definitely pushed Farah into being like, okay, I really do need to help people process their own feelings through creation. Farah ends up buying the
tapestry.
Yes, the tapestry for herself. And I love that the first thing she actually buys for herself is something like so touching and meaningful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And she's supporting another artist, which is cool.
Yeah. Farah asks Rhys if other people who struggle like her would like find like painting helpful. And I was like, Rhys needs to pick up a paintbrush. How about he himself get some like painting
therapy?
Tips from Farah. Like we never see
cool.
Rhys. What's his hobby?
Lint picking. That's kind of
sad. That's bad.
Okay, let's come up with another one. Making love to Farah.
It's a hobby. It's a time commitment.
Yeah, it is. He does it all. He does it like every day. So.
Well, yeah.
Farah says that this conversation makes her realize with the Weaver what she wants to give Rhys, and the part specifically is where the Weaver is like super sad. She's like, I don't even have. We were together for 300 years, and like we never got the opportunity to have children, and I don't even have like that to remember him by. And she's like, okay, now I know what I want to give Rhys for solstice. Did you realize what she was referring to the first time you read it?
No.
I didn't either, but I liked being able to pick up on that and have a deeper understanding of it this time.
Yeah.
Okay, so then when Amren and Nesta talk, Amren's lips are sealed. Our lips are sealed.
Sealed shut.
She is like, I'm not talking to you about...
I'm not gossiping with my friends.
Yeah, that's my friend. What do you think about their whole conversation here?
So Amren's advice to Farah was to give Nesta time and space, which is very interesting. We see that kind of bites Farah's butt in Silver Flames a little bit.
It does.
I can totally see how Amren and Nesta like connect to each other because they seem to be pretty unlikable to other people and very like
independent.
Yeah. And kind of like will hit you where it hurts. So I think it makes sense that they're friends, and I can see that. I do love that Amren won't gossip about her friends.
Me too.
I think that's amazing. But I'm like, she can't even like give Feyre a clue onto like how Nesta's doing. Like, not even like she's okay. Like, don't worry. Or like, you know what? She's struggling. Maybe that's something you can like talk to her yourself about.
Yeah, I think like you don't have to gossip to be able to talk about somebody who might really need help.
Yeah.
With somebody else who cares, you know? Like if we had a mutual friend who was really struggling, I feel like I would go to you and be like, oh my gosh, I feel like they're really struggling. Like, what do you think? Let's talk about what we can do to help this person.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were parts of it that I liked, but parts of it that I was like, oh, okay, interesting.
Interesting choice.
Interesting. I don't agree, but whatever. Then we get Rhys's POV. Cassian and Azriel get situated at the townhouse for Solstice, and they discuss the Illyrian threat, and everyone gathers for Solstice Eve. And I had a random thought about the Scythens. They're very briefly mentioned here. Are they a part of their skin?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because they say on their hands.
It's like a little glove thing. They mention it, like around their finger.
But do they have to wear the glove 24/7?
I don't think so. I think they just do. I think they like it.
What about when they take a bath? Like, what happens to their powers? Are their powers in the Scythens?
No, but like they're not battling anyone, so it's not like their powers are just gonna go shh. Like it's fine. It's fine.
Interesting.
If it is on their skin, I swear it's not. If it's on their skin, that's disgusting to me. I don't like things like embedded in skin. It really freaks me out. So I don't like that.
Like the piercings that are like in the skin. Have you seen those?
I have. You know what? Those don't really creep me out.
I just picture them getting snagged.
Oh, same.
And then I'm like, oh,
same.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like like I don't want it to show. Either be under the skin completely or like
out of the skin completely.
Yeah, like don't be attached.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something where I've seen like in movies where something's embedded.
I don't like it.
And I can't think of anything. Yeah, I don't know. We don't need to think about it. Forget it. Forget I mentioned it. Done.
So Rhys decides not to tell Cassian about some more information that he learned about the unrest that's happening with the Illyrians until after Solstice. What do you think about this decision?
I didn't have any issues with it. I didn't feel like it was this like, oh, I'm withholding information that you need to know. I think we all do this in day-to-day life of like, it's not the time. It's not the time to talk about this. It's not the time to have this conversation. So it didn't bother me. Did it bother you?
No, not like specifically. I just would hope that like I could see Cassian becoming upset with like being like, oh, you found this out like a long time ago and I could have handled it a long time ago, and now
I don't think it's a long time ago though, because I think they tell him right after Solstice.
I think so too.
So it's like maybe a week tops.
I still don't think Cassian liked that they
I don't know. We never hear him talk about it. Yeah. I always thought Cassian lived at the House of Wind, but it says that he has a place in Illyria. Do we ever hear or see about this place again?
No, I think SJM forgot about it.
I don't blame her.
No.
There's so much information. I would forget a lot.
Yeah, same. But because I'm like, that we would have seen it. I feel like in Silver Flames. We never do.
Yeah. I don't know. And then Rhys has inner dialogue about Cassian and Nesta and says he knows why Nesta doesn't want to be around Cassian and that he'd, quote, seen it happen, had felt that way plenty. What?
She does need to be like a little bit more explicit with like when she writes these like very...
It's like when he said
vague.
Nesta is an Illyrian at heart, so she has no excuse. I'm like, huh?
Yeah. Again, I think I wonder if he feels like Nesta doesn't deserve Cassian because she's so Nesta. Like, and I think Rhys felt like he didn't deserve Feyre because he has done horrible things before.
Interesting.
That's what I thought. But yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes he's a little bit too vague.
That makes a lot of sense. That's why he like understands. I was like, what are we talking about here? Thank you for clarifying.
That's just my guess.
It's truth now. It's facts.
Rhys got a little too excited thinking about Feyre in front of like everyone. And he was drunk and he was thinking about Feyre, and Amren had to tell him to rein in his scent. I wonder how often this would happen.
I'm just really glad we can't smell that on people.
That's disturbing to me.
And I just picture her being like, "Rein in your scent, boy."
I think that's what she said.
Yeah, and I love it. I love that she said that.
I love that she's calling him out on it. No one else wants to smell that.
Yeah, no. But like, imagine just walking down the street.
I would rather not imagine that.
There's bound to be lots of horny people.
No.
No, nobody ever.
I would never go anywhere. Could you imagine talking to someone and just like smelling that off of them? You're like, dude, we're at a Wendy's right now.
Like, you're taking my burger order. Please, no.
Okay.
Ooh, absolutely not.
So then we go into Feyre's point of view in the next chapters, and Rhys gives Feyre her birthday presents, and Lucien shows up to drop off presents and share about the Band of Exiles.
Oh.
And they also argue about Tamlin, and then Mor gives Feyre advice before taking her to the little snowball fight.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that Rhys gives Feyre is a leather notebook with Feyre's initials. But I feel like, what are Feyre's initials at this point?
Hi, lady. HL. HLF.
Oh.
Hi, lady Feyre. I'm just joking.
Maybe.
I don't know. Feyre Archeron. Does Rhys have a last name?
I don't think, we've never known.
No.
People think it's Darling because he always calls, like, he says, like, Feyre Darling. That's just super cute.
Okay, wait. I love that.
Yeah. But we don't know. And she doesn't go by Archeron, right? People always call her, like, Feyre Cursebreaker, Feyre.
Yeah. It's just so weird to me. And we talked about this whenever ago, how they made such a big deal about the fact that Feyre didn't know Lucien's surname being Van Sarah, but we know nobody else's other than Feyre's. Like,
and she doesn't even use it.
No,
she doesn't. I don't think she likes to. Because when he said, like, "Oh, I don't use that," she was like, "Yeah, I get that," and I'm like, "Okay."
I don't know.
Can you tell us your name, Feyre? That you're
Seriously.
the main character. What's your last name? That you use?
Somebody find out. SJM, let us know.
I don't know.
Do you think this was just something she forgot to?
I don't know. Maybe it got cut. These books are huge.
I know, that's true. Okay, so it's like solstice morning or something, and Feyre and Rhys roll out of bed, hungover, and they're having breakfast together, and all of a sudden Azriel and Cassian come, and they just take Rhys. And Feyre's like, "Huh?" And Rhys is just like, "Tradition," and winks and goes away. And Feyre's just like, "Oh, okay, time to go about my day." I just feel like this is a little unrealistic. Like, if it was Christmas morning and your husband's friends, you've never celebrated Christmas with your spouse before, okay? It's Christmas morning, you guys just woke up together, and your husband's friends just come in and take him away and go, "Sorry, tradition," and you have no idea when he's coming back. You have no idea where he is. I feel like I'd be like, I would have appreciated like a heads up.
I feel like, I mean, I think he's mentioned before that they do something, but like it was...
Maybe he has.
But even then, I do not like the like no time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care. Just tell me a time.
That's exactly what it was. Like, I don't care that you're going to go do this thing that you've done for hundreds of years. Yes, go do it. But like,
what can I expect?
Me in. Like, when are you going to be home? What, like, how long am I just going to be by myself?
Yeah. It is a little bit.
Especially on a holiday.
Yeah. And like her birthday.
Oh my God.
That's her birthday.
That's even worse.
She doesn't care.
But still.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, okay. I don't think she's that chill, but whatever. Okay, this is no, this is not the moment I was talking about. Let me start over. Okay. When Feyre sees Elaine in the kitchen, once again, she's described as like nothing short of picture perfect, which made me think again of the whole cauldron situation. Have you heard of the theory that Elaine would go evil via the cauldron?
No.
And that the cauldron views her as like so beautiful and is like, "Oh, I won't touch her," because it knows that it can manipulate her later. This idea that maybe the cauldron will reawake and like channel evil powers through Elaine, since she's so docile, and it's just interesting.
That is very interesting.
Well, because I think about the cauldron and Elaine a lot, and I'm like, why? What is this?
So sweet
That he's like it's. I don't know why I made it a male. Probably it is like obsessed with her because it knows that it can use her.
Ooh, that's kind of a cool theory.
Yeah.
It did steal her away in ACOWAR. I kind of interesting.
Yeah. Who knows?
So Elaine and Nesta were supposedly really close, right? Like before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Supposedly.
I know. But Elaine never really like offers her thoughts or is like ever asked like what they could do to like would even like make Nesta feel better. And I'm like, I thought they were like so close. They never like she doesn't want to be like looped in on this. Like,
I think the only thing they could relate on was not doing anything to help their family survive and hating.
Well, it's okay that Elaine did that because she's Elaine. Nesta isn't Elaine at heart.
Elaine, so it's fine. She's just too beautiful. She's so pretty. So, you know, it's fine. Anyway. Okay. What are your thoughts on the Lucien and Farrah conversation regarding the Band of Exiles and Lucien calling out Rhys for, you know, kicking Tamlin while he's down when he was grumpy at his manor?
So Farrah's kind of like, she starts like teasing Lucien about like being friends with Jerry and Vasa. Vasa?
I can't remember. I feel like it was Vasa.
Okay.
I feel like I want it to be Vasa because that's what rolls off the tongue, but that it's Vasa.
Okay. Whatever. She starts like teasing him about it, and you can tell he's like not. He's like, no, he's not like, for
these are my friends.
I think she's been hanging around the Night Court people too long where they like tease each other and they're mean to each other about things that are important to each other. Like, I'm like, this isn't landing, Farrah. Like,
this isn't Lucien either. Like, he's not.
Like, he's lonely and hurting right now, and he's like found like friends and like somewhere to be, and you're like making fun of him.
Yeah. And maybe actually it would have been Lucien if he was in a healthier place. But like he's been through a lot.
It's like not
he
the
has
time
lost
place.
everything.
Yeah.
And he's now been exiled twice from a home. And now he's like, I don't have a home, and he's kind of finding it.
I know.
So.
And she's like, you're friends with
exiles. Yeah.
I'm like, Farrah, why are you that?
I know. I didn't like it.
Did Farrah get Lucien a solstice present? I don't think she
so.
did. And I really think this shows.
He got something for her and Rhys. It was for her and Rhys. And I'm like, that was really thoughtful.
It was super thoughtful. And maybe Farrah needs to like reanalyze her relationship with Lucien. Because supposedly they're friends, but you didn't even give him a solstice present. So.
Yeah. I think Farrah is very caught up in her own life right now.
Yeah.
Like Nesta included in that, but like her immediate surroundings.
Yeah.
Okay, so Farrah, this is what I was talking about last episode. Farrah goes to talk to Elaine and is a little hard on her for at least not talking to Lucien. And Elaine is like, I don't know him anything. And I know we kind of recapped this in the last episode, but what do you just think about like Elaine's perspective versus Farrah's perspective and Lucien? The whole kit and kaboggle.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Lucien, especially reading like his point of view in Aqua, where he like basically is having like all of these like feelings, these like urges. I don't love that word.
I know, but it's like this natural inclination
but
towards her,
and he like can't control that. He's clearly like trying to respect her boundaries and like not like he's not like touching her or like trying to kiss her, trying to like take her on a date.
Yeah.
I think Elaine, I think what's hard is she just doesn't understand the whole mates thing. And so she's taking it out on like Lucien. Yeah. But like, that's not his fault. But also like, I don't know.
And there's so much that we don't even know. Like, has anybody talked to Elaine? Like, anybody else that Elaine trusts? Has Farrah sat her down and talked to her about like, hey, this is kind of like what this is in this culture. This is what it means. And it's a choice. You're not obligated to it. Like, this is what happens if you choose to say no. Like, I don't know. It just, and maybe those conversations have happened and like the books are already fat, so we can't fit much more information in them. So who knows? But
yeah. So Farrah tells Elaine that she's like, I just don't like to see, she doesn't like to see Elaine or Lucien unhappy. And Elaine replies with, I know you don't. And I think this is we start seeing like some of more of Farrah's flaws come out. Yeah. Because for the most part of the story so far, like her and Reese kind of make these like perfect decisions, right? Like almost like nothing goes wrong for them. And I think right now they're having to be like, ew, like there's a lot more going on.
There is a lot going on. I agree. And I think this character flaw, or this character trait, I guess I should say, has always been in Farrah. I think it's what drove her to hunt for survival with her family. I think it's what drove her under the mountain. I think it's done a lot of good for her, but then like she's not in survival mode anymore. They're not, their happiness is not hinged on her literally
decision.
saving their lives.
Yeah.
Like they're not in that season right now, but I feel like she's still like, oh, I have to do to make everything happy. Everyone happy.
Yeah.
Then we get more of Farrah's point of view, and the solstice celebrations begin with a birthday cake for Farrah, and Nesta shows up while everyone exchanges gifts.
Okay, this is where I was talking about.
I do not remember this.
So they were in, Reese, Cassie, and Azriel were in like their like sauna, naked.
Yes, I remember now. Okay,
and
I do.
They were just like teasing him about it, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to peek?" Like, and he was like kind of basically insinuating, and she was like, "Aren't mates supposed to be territorial?" And he's like, "I just want to make you happy." And I'm like,
with your brothers?
okay, do you think any of them would actually do it?
I don't. Okay, I think
Cassian would.
No, sorry. I was going to say I don't think Farrah or Reese would actually do it. But yes, I think Cassian would.
I think Azriel.
I don't think Cassian and Azriel would together. I don't think they would do it together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Not that they wouldn't do a threesome. I think any of them would. But I don't think they would do it with somebody else in their inner circle. I think they can joke about it all day, but I think they all know enough to know that would affect some relationships.
Yeah. Especially
it just
would.
would.
Like all dating each other, basically.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, so now Cassian would have basically slept with his mate's sister. Azriel wants Elaine and would have slept with her sister. Like, it just...
Yeah.
No, it won't work. And I think they all know that, but they like to joke about it.
Yeah.
I love that Elaine decorated Farrah's cake to represent the dresser drawers that Farrah painted for them when they were in poverty. And both Farrah and Nesta's designs have turned out to be a big part of their journey. Farrah's being the stars, obviously Night Court. Nesta's being flames, has to do with her power and her like death. Death power, not her actual death. And I just feel like there's no way that Elaine's being flowers just means she likes to garden.
I don't think so either.
There has to be something more. There's another theory out there that Elaine has the gift of life.
Oh.
Because like gardening and flower and planting and creating something new, even like cooking, you know, you're kind of creating something from nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I have no idea what her flowers mean. I mean, obviously she could like blossom and bloom, but into what? We don't really know.
Yeah.
I would love to see her. SJM has, in at least Throne of Glass, she has like other characters, like female characters who aren't warriors. Like I'm thinking of like Allied.
Yeah.
Irene. You're thinking of like these strong women who aren't warriors, and I kind of hope that's like the path that Elaine goes.
I would love to see her take a healer path.
Yeah.
And I do think like I would love to see her, you know, I don't know, slap somebody. Like something, you know, like she did when she stabbed King of Hybern through the throat. But I agree. I feel like it's not her to be a warrior. Whereas like Farrah always had it in her. Nesta always had it in her. That's not Elaine's personality, and that's okay. And she can still be powerful and strong and vital. And
yeah,
we just need her book.
I know.
Did you see the April Fool's joke?
No.
That somebody posted, like the new SJM cover book has been released,
so
and it was A Court of Blossom and Decay, and it looked legit.
Really?
And I was like, oh, wah wah.
Yeah.
So sad.
Gotta check that.
Yeah. Okay, I also love that no matter how old or powerful or wealthy these fae are, they still giggle at the sight of presents.
I know.
And it's still how I feel every Christmas morning.
Yes. It's just too like the excitement of like giving. So like I know what this is.
Yeah,
I'm so excited to give it to you. Yeah,
it's so fun.
It is really fun. So they had to give their presents to Reese before like the night or like the day, because they have a history of all snooping before solstice.
Childish, and I love it.
Me and my sister used to do this all the time.
Really?
It was always my sister's idea.
Of course, the older sister.
Of course I would
Yeah.
follow.
You're like, let's go.
And I loved it.
I love that. I never did that. I was too much of a rule follower.
My older sisters are not, so it was like
I've become less of a rule follower as I got older.
that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Yeah, I feel like I have a better balance now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You've never sneaked at a snooped
I
before?
also
It's fun.
I like surprises. Like I like that element of surprise when it comes to gifts.
There's an element though of like, I know what you know, I don't know. And I'm so excited to get this
So
right
now it's like also a surprise for you that I already knew, but I'm not going to tell you. Yeah.
We were also like kids. When we did it.
Yeah.
So, okay. Farah opens the door and she's like, hey, like, we're all in the, and Nesta's standing there, right? And she was like, oh yeah, we're all gathered in the sitting room. And Nesta was like, I saw. And literally like moments before this happened, Cassian gets more opens up her present from Cassian, and it's like this lingerie that she wanted, like more wanted it.
Yeah,
like
he was like, I don't know what to get you.
Yeah.
And so she told him, this is what you can get me.
Do you think Nesta saw her like more open up that present and like see them that it's like basically from Cassian?
Based on what we see later with their interaction, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And then when Nesta arrives, Cassian opens his gift from Moore, and it's matching like silk boxers. And I'm just like, whatever. I know they've been friends forever, but like, if you like Cassian, what are you thinking? Like, we know that you love Nesta already. Like, you know it too. Like, he knows. He's like saddened by the fact that she's not there. Like, I'm like, then why aren't you? What? Why would you do this? And just, yeah.
I don't know.
When everyone is laughing together after opening gifts, Farah describes it as if Nesta is looking through a window at everyone living their life while she's just like on the outside. On the outside looking in. You remember that song?
Of course.
Never forget. This made me really sad. And I just think it was another really good imagery of Nesta's mental health. How she just feels like she not only like she can't step in past the window, but also she doesn't deserve to step past the window. So it made me sad.
It made me really sad. It also, we find out in Silver Flames that she has a really hard time with like crackling fireplaces because it reminds her of her dad cracking neck, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there was a fire there.
Yeah. And it's hard too because she doesn't tell anybody that. And the thing is, I really, no matter how everyone feels about Nesta, like in the book, I guarantee if she said, even just like Farah privately or somebody, like, I have a hard time being around fires because of this, they'd be like, cool, no fires. Like, absolutely. Yeah. But she doesn't even feel like she can say those things. I don't know. It also made me wonder, do you think that Nesta feels betrayed by Elaine?
Yes.
I do too. Because it was like them against the world.
Yeah.
They were both mean and hated everybody and were mean to Farah. And now it's like, boop, Elaine has chosen to find comfort in this and choose this as her family. And Nesta's left behind.
Nesta's left behind, and I think it's just for her, like, yep, of course she would leave me. Like, of course she wouldn't want to be around me. It's really sad.
Yeah. And there's, like, Elaine has done nothing wrong. Really, none of these characters have done anything wrong. And it's just sad that Nesta is viewing it as these, like, personal attacks on her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's like, oh, it's because of her character that these things are happening. So
yeah, it just really shows, I think, her like where she is right now. Yeah. So we get Cassian's point of view, and Cassian runs after Nesta after she leaves and attempts to talk to her and give her a solstice gift.
This chapter broke my heart when Cassian tells Nesta just to talk to him, which, like, if she would, like I just mentioned, if she would just talk to one of them about what she's really feeling or going through, it would be a game changer. But it's like a softness that we just haven't seen from him yet. Like, he is this brute warrior. And yes, they had this moment where he's like, I wish we had more time. And that was like romantic and sweet. But this like gentleness starts to come out of him. And she just scoffs at him. And my heart just hurts so much for both of them.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so sad when he like sees her walk in too, and he's like, oh, she's like super skinny and like vacant, and
she's disappearing right before his eyes.
Yeah, and you can just see how much it hurts him.
Yeah. How do you feel about the way Cassian attempts to get through to Nesta?
It's so bad.
I know.
He like tries to tell, like, he's like, Nesta, like, Figure and Elaine, like, love you. And I'm like, guilting her at this point is not going to help. She knows that they loved her and they love her. Like, she knows that. I think that would make me feel worse if I were Nesta.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, I'm such a screw up.
Well, and that's like how her mentality is. I wonder if he had approached her of more of like, hey, I want to be there for you. I don't even know if that, I don't know if anything would work with her at this point, like where she's at. Yeah.
Well, in his like inner dialogue, he says like, oh, I understand how she feels, because he's like, it took me years to like be okay after like my first like war and battle. And he just doesn't seem to know like how to help that. And I think it's hard because like he had like Reese and Azrael.
Yeah.
Like even if they didn't like explicitly talk about it, like he could still could have friends and family who are there for him.
Yeah. And I wonder if he had said that inner dialogue to her.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, I remember, like, I can only imagine what you're going through. I also remember like being so broken after my first battle, and it took me years, and like just want to let you know I'm here for you. You know?
I wonder if he didn't even frame it as like, I want to help you, if like I need you to help me. If she would have been more like, if he was just like, I am really broken right now because the King of Hybern, like I wonder if she would be like so caught off guard by his like vulnerability that she would be a little bit more like, what?
Right. Or like, hey, I need to talk about like what happened and how close you were to death. Like,
yeah,
you want to grab a drink and process it?
If he was just like, yeah, I have nightmares of like dying with you.
Which he does. It's not a lie.
I don't know. So then we get Nesta's point of view, and Nesta goes back to her very empty, silent apartment, and we learn that she hasn't lit a single fire because the crackling makes her think of like snapping bones of like her father.
Yeah. This is where, like, this book is where I start to feel for Nesta. I've mentioned this before. Like, pre-war, I have a really hard time, like, making any justification or excuse for her actions. Post-war, I'm like, oh, you poor thing. Like, you have, not that she hadn't been through a lot previously, but it still rubs me. I'm like, Reese, like, I can move on, like Reese can't, but I'm like, there was no excuse for how you treated your little sister. Like, there's just, or for the fact that you did nothing. Like, you let your pride get in the way, and there's no excuse for that. Like, you need to apologize. But this is where I'm like, oh, I just feel for you, and like, it just makes more sense.
PTSD,
literally,
right?
like it is so clear to me why she's struggling.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I really don't think that others realize like how bad she's feeling. I think they're just like, she's just being a stubborn bitch. Like,
I think so too.
I don't think they realize like she is in a deep depression, and like she's having like these like flat like PTSD like flashbacks of like the cauldron and like
her father dying.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Nesta had been kinder to Farah, or like, you know, hadn't been this kind of like mean older sister, if maybe they would be like, oh, something's off, like what's going on? Because it's like she was always kind of like this, and now it's just gotten worse. And so they're just kind of like, oh, it's just Nesta being, like you said, being a bitch. It's like, okay, well, yes and no.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
More of Farah's point of view. Farah and Reese exchange final solstice gifts at the cabin, and she gives him the decision that she's ready to have a baby, and he gives her an estate on which she can build their dream home for their whole family.
So we find out that Reese's mother has made all of Farah's gowns that she's ever worn, and he actually says, every piece that I've given you has been made by her. And I was thinking, even this slutty little piece she wore to the Court of Nightmares.
Oh my.
I don't think so, but I just thought it was like, that's like, you know how like your brain, it just like was like this one. And I'm like, I don't think she made that one.
I don't know about that. I don't think anybody made that. I think it was a strip of fabric that they draped over her body.
It was the extra, like.
Yeah, it was maybe it was. It's like, these are the scraps from my mother's gowns. Oh my goodness. I know there are a lot of mixed feelings from the Maasaversians and just like people in general about Farah, like any character deciding they want to have a baby.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't like gravitate to books with like pregnancy tropes.
Yeah.
Especially because like I feel like a lot of people in my life, like when they get pregnant, they feel like shit.
Yeah.
Almost like no person I know that has gotten pregnant is like, I love this. Like I'm gonna like I'm beautiful and I feel great. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
Top
I
of
don't
the
be
world.
pregnant. I don't know. I think it's also like hard for me because I'm like, Farah, you're so young. But like I also get it. And like I don't think young people shouldn't have kids. You know what I mean? But like I just think it's like an interesting, I don't know. I also think it's kind of weird to be like, I'm gonna like give you the gift of having a baby. Because I'm like, that's not a gift.
So I have a different perspective because I think it was clear, at least from my perspective, that Reese is very old and has wanted kids. And like he was like, I think his conversation with her with like, we will still wait until you're ready. Obviously, like, thank God he's not forcing that upon her. And so I think that's why it was like a gift because he anticipated having to wait a lot longer, like maybe even another 100 years. And it's something that he has wanted for so long. So it's like getting that gift in that way.
Yeah.
But same, I don't gravitate towards the pregnancy trope because it's boring to me.
Same.
However, to me, it's like, okay, I like it now because it's like we've gotten them falling in love and it's not like them falling in love because they got pregnant or like, whatever. Like it's not, and we don't even they become side characters. And so I feel like it works. I do.
I think if this was the like place for it.
Yeah.
I also think too, like SJM has talked about like being like pregnant and having a miscarriage and stuff. And so I think like it's beautiful that she can use her writing
it's like a healing.
Yeah. And like her experiences around that. I think it's very beautiful.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. After Farah Reese tells Farah Reese, wait, what am I saying?
Who's Farah Reese? The wrong person now.
Basically after this, I mean, come on. Farah tells Reese about her decision. They make love physically and mind to mind. Was this hard for you to follow? Or was it only me?
It was a little hard. I know in Crescent City we get this, but they at least have like a body, like spiritual body form. But this one was just like...
It was like, we have no bodies here.
It's just like...
It's like our consciousnesses...
Night exploding in your brain.
Yeah, maybe it's like being on a really like a really intense drug trip.
It's interesting to me that Reese tells Farah to like make the estate however she wants it. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's me like self-projecting my own. Because I know that Farah like often... We get throughout the series like her appreciating like homes and like decorating and stuff, and that's something like I love.
Aww.
I don't love decorating though.
Oh.
Like my husband does like majority of this. I like he like we'll make the decisions together, but he has more of the like vision for things. To me, I think it would have been more of a gift to be like, yeah, I bought this thing. You do majority of the work. I'll help on the things I want to help with. And then you made me an estate. Like, that seemed more like favorite to me. And I don't know if it's just because, like, I wouldn't want to decorate a whole and, like, plan a whole estate. I don't know.
I would love that. But it also, I think he opened the door of, like, bring in whoever, which she ends up asking somebody for help, too. But I think I feel like Reese would want to be involved.
Same. That's why I was like, no, Reese, you do it for her. And then, not for her, but, like,
with her.
Yeah. Or, like, do it all, but Farah's can be like, no, let's change this. Let's do this.
So yeah, I would want to be in charge.
No.
For me.
Yeah. This is why we work well together.
I know. Reese's point of view, Reese goes to visit Tamlin again, partially out of guilt from Lucian saying, like, why did you kick him while he's down? But also to share that the summer court would send soldiers to man the spring court borders since Tamlin had been like, no, I don't want your help. Reese specifically. So many emotions in this really short chapter. Tamlin asks if Farah would ever forgive him. And the way he does, like, Reese walks in and there's just like this dead elk on the table and it's dripping blood and Tamlin's just like sitting there staring at it. Like it's just like literally so sad.
Yeah.
And then he asks if Reese forgives him for killing his mother and sister. And it was just obviously I don't know. It's like we talked about previously where, okay, Tamlin supposedly killed Rhys's mom and sister.
Or helped.
Yeah. He definitely helped. He definitely abused Farrah physically and emotionally. Yet I still, in these moments, I'm like, oh, come on, pick up your bootstraps and change. Like,
he's showing remorse.
He is. And you can tell that, like, I think that's why he's so low, is because he's finally processing who he has become. But Rhys doesn't really respond to Tamlin about the forgiveness thing. And he seems to, it seems like Rhys believes that forgiveness and forgetting are the same thing. What do you think about that?
No,
I agree.
They're not the same thing. I'm a human. People are people. Like, we remember things that happen to us.
And we should.
Yeah. And, like, it's normal to remember something that, like, hurts you so deeply. I think it shows great growth that, like, Tamlin is able to, like, show remorse and guilt now.
Yeah.
It seems like before he was so stuck on, like, hating Rhys and almost justifying his reasons as to, like, why he did the things he did, and, like, betraying him and stuff. I think now we're starting to see more of his redemption arc. He's showing remorse. He's showing guilt. He's, like, a lot of the times that helps people change.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. It was just interesting, and Rhys made it seem like he and Farrah won't ever forgive him. But
he can't control that. Like, sometimes people don't forgive you for the things you do.
I know, but I feel like Farrah would.
I think Farrah would too.
I don't think it's in her character not to. I don't think Rhys will.
No.
And that's okay. I mean,
yeah.
I disagree with it. Like, I feel like forgiveness is freeing for the person who is also doing the forgiving, you know, like it frees that. Like, I want Rhys to forgive Nesta and Tamlin and all those things because I think it'll free them from a lot of hatred and control and bitterness. But it doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean you don't hold boundaries with those people.
Or that it's, like, healthy to forget.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we get Moor's point of view. Moor rides a horse on her 300-acre land on her estate known as Athelwood.
Wow.
And briefly, like, senses a dark presence in the forest while she's, like, contemplating Rhys's offer to go to the continent.
Okay, so Moor has a home of her own.
A 300-acre estate.
And she rides horses on it.
Super expensive horses.
Yeah. She says that most people don't know about it. She is so secretive. Do you trust her?
Yeah.
I know. I
I've
spent a lot of time on Reddit and it's like just with theories, and I don't know. She's just so secretive.
I think her secrecy comes from a place of not wanting to be vulnerable and not a place of, like, malice or, like, evil.
No, I agree. I just think it makes her hard to connect with.
Yeah, and also, could you imagine if you found out that, like, one of your friends had, like, this secret house that, like,
do you think Farrah knows?
No, I mean, here's the thing. The inner court has a problem with boundaries, though. Like, they'll just show up.
That's
they'll
so
just,
true.
like, pop in.
But Moor does it too.
Yeah.
Moor's like, hey, no, you're about to have love, but come on, time to get dressed. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. So the dark presence she senses. I was like, Bryaxis? Is that you?
I think you're right.
Because it said that it was dark, but it just watched her. Like, it didn't. Ooh, I'm having major deja vu.
Yeah.
Right now.
There is a character in Crescent City 3. I'm not going to say, but they have darkness watch them and they find out what it is.
Is that what my deja vu is?
I think so.
Whoa.
They talk about like seeing darkness and like staring back at it, and it like it talks to them, and then it's like it's a person in the character. Yeah,
I don't remember. You'll tell me later.
Okay.
There's so much to remember, but yeah, I was like, I think it's Bryaxis because it didn't harm Moor, and I do think Bryaxis is not inherently evil.
No, I don't think so either.
But it's dark. It's still darkness.
I think it is Bryaxis, but I hope it's also like someone else from a different series.
Oh.
Okay, so we get Farrah's point of view, and Farrah was given the empty studio by the family of the previous owner. And she asks Racina
Whatever.
to go into business with her.
Yeah, I thought this was a sweet scene. You can tell that like this book is being wrapped up a little bit. And I got emotional again when Farrah recalls the Suriel's last words to make the world a better place. And Farrah plans to do just that. And I'm like, it's about time, girl.
I know. And I love that she's using like a gift, that she has a talent that she like, that helps her, that she's gonna help other people. That's beautiful.
I agree.
And then we get Reese's point of view of the Bat Boys all visiting Devlin's camp to check on the girls' training. And we learn that one Illyrian in particular is stirring up dissent.
Yeah, a lot of the backstory or like the information we got about the Illyrians here was helpful to reread to prep for Silver Flames.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
In the last couple chapters, Farrah and Rosina open an art studio for children to learn to paint and create for free. And Reese comes to spend Farrah's lunch hour with her. And Farrah tells Reese that the feeling of looking forward to waking up every day is strange and foreign to her. And this was like really heartbreakingly beautiful because she has lived, we've talked about this just in this episode, like she has been in survival mode. She's been living in survival mode for 10 years. And she can finally have some peace. I know they still have like work to do and there's going to be more issues, but in all reality, she's not in survival mode anymore. And that is like her body's coming down from that.
Yeah. And I'm glad we get that like final like wrap up too with the wrapping up of this series. And we're not going to get Farrah or Reese's point of view in Silver Flames, right? So
yeah,
it's just kind of wrapping up.
Wrapping that like, yeah, they still have unanswered questions, but like their story is
they're okay.
They're okay, yeah. And Farrah also mentions that just a year ago she wanted to end her life, and so it's wild to think that she has gone through ACOMAF, ACOWAR, and this book in just a year, and that's a lot to happen to one person at once. Yeah. And now she's in a healthier place. It's beautiful. Okay, my Orquat is: do you feel any differently about this book having read it the second time?
It is better. It's less boring. I do like looking at the foreshadows more and like the character development in this one, kind of prepping for Silver Flames. I don't know if I would read it again.
No.
But it was better than the first time I read it.
I agree. I also feel like since we've recapped and like done a deep dive into things, I know the characters more and I'm actually more connected to them. And so it felt more sweet to me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm liking seeing them like have these little happy moments, where the first time I was like, get to the drama. What's happening next? Like, I need to know.
Especially after like the roller coaster of ACOWAR, where it's like war, battle, war, like everything happening. And this one is like, oh, they're going shopping and like getting presents.
Yeah.
So, and they're like worried about like getting each other like presents. And then you see like Reese and Azriel and Cassian are like snowball fighting. It's more lighthearted.
Yeah. Book rating.
Yeah.
Probably 3 stars.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, it's hard because it's a series. So it's like, I would recommend it because it's part of the series. And now I see that it is vital for Silver Flames to make even more sense. What do you think?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I do think it'd be important to read it before Silver Flames.
Yeah.
One of my, someone I work with, she also reads the series and she was like obsessed with it. And she told me, she was like, I cannot get through this one. And I was like, you have to, I promise.
Just do it. It's so short too.
Yeah.
Did she do it?
She did.
Okay.
She did. And she was like, love Silver Flames and stuff. But she was like, she's like, I literally read like all the other books in like a week. And this one I'm like struggle. Like it's taken me like a month.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the same with me. And then I took a break because I was like, oh, okay, now I'm bored. I'm not running from this high of like, I have to read the next one. So I took a long break.
And then
before
you're
I
like,
read
Nesta.
Yeah, which I wasn't that upset about. I was just like, oh, interesting. Like, I don't know. I wasn't sad about it.
I remember Dana when she
was pissed.
I remember her. This is before I read ACOTAR and she was only reading it.
She read it before both of us.
Yeah. She's a little trendsetter.
I know. It doesn't surprise me.
But she was like, I'm reading this book series. And she's like, it's so good. You should read it. But she's like, I'm reading like the last book and it's on her sister. And I hate her sister. And she's like, it's fine. She's like, I'm actually liking the book, but like more than I thought I would. But
yeah. She was so mad about it though.
I hate her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I love her.
I like her.
I had something I noticed.
Okay.
Was both Lucian in this part of the book, but also Nesta, before I was pointing this out. Lucian and Nesta both seem to notice when Rhys and Feyre mind speak to each other, like more than, and they like call it out more than like other characters. And I find that very purposeful. What do you think it says about Lucian and Nesta's character, and like even how they view like Rhys's and Feyre's relationship?
That's a good question. I think, oh my gosh, it's like sunny outside now and it was just hailing. Anyway, total side note. I think it shows that both Nesta and Lucian are very observant. And I think that's evident for both of them. Like they're always watching everything. Like that's how they're described. Like they miss nothing. In regards to how they view Feyre and Rhys's relationship, I don't know. I think that
because they both will say little things like, oh, checking in. Like, that's how he or Nesta, one of them said that to the, like.
It was Lucian.
Yeah.
It was Lucian when Lucian and Feyre were having a heated conversation just about the whole, like, him living with Dorian and Vasa and Rhys visiting Tamlin. And that's when Rhys was like, everything okay? And then Lucian's like, checking in. But there's no way. I mean, I feel like everyone must notice it. Because how are you mind speaking? Like, I couldn't be mind speaking to somebody right now while also talking to you out loud. Like, there would be pauses in the conversation where I'd go, yeah, now I'm present again.
Well, it's like, you know, when you, like, get kind of lost in your own thoughts and someone says something to you and you're like, oh, shit. Like,
No, literally. What? That's probably exactly what happens to them.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think it says about how they view their relationship?
I think they both view Nesta and Lucian view Feyre and Rhys's relationship as Rhys kind of controlling. I really think that they both see Rhys as more controlling than like we
as the readers, because we're viewing it as like Feyre's point of view, and we see how much like Rhys values her opinion, and like she makes a lot of her own decisions. But I do think that like them calling it out is them being like, oh, there you go again, checking in with your like husband mate person who's always watching you. Right. And for me, I'm like, okay, well, like you said, like we know that he values her opinion and is constantly like, you have autonomy. Those things always happen behind closed doors or like mind speaking to each other. And Nesta and Lucian, well, especially Lucian, right? Lucian knows Rhys is big bad guy still. And so like that's taking time for him to unlearn that. And Nesta barely knows.
But she doesn't like Rhys.
Nesta doesn't like any of her sister's suitors. Like that's a trend for her. She's like, nobody can date my sisters, which is weird and possessive. I don't like that.
Grayson could.
She hated Grayson.
But she was like okay with him enough to be like, yeah, you can marry him.
I don't think so. I don't think she was ever okay with it. I think she was just like, whatever, I'm not going to kill him. I'm not going to make my sister not date him.
Yeah, but I think if she really, really, really hated him, she would be like, no.
Maybe.
I think she would. I think she would make it very clear. She's scary. Like, I think even as a human, she would have stared him down and be like,
That's
you're not
true.
even freaking talking to her.
That's true. That's true. I don't like the whole, like, you're not good enough for my, like,
I know.
You can't, I don't know. I don't like that controlling piece. But I can see how it could be misinterpreted as controlling when in actuality, they're just like, he's like, I could feel your emotions. Like, are you okay? Which is actually really sweet.
Yeah. And I think because we get that side of it, it's like, oh, very sweet. But I think from like the outside, it could seem like
I can totally see that.
He's being like, they have like a very like intermeshed
relationship.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice little closing thought. I mean, they are very intermeshed. I think well, they are codependent. They literally bound their lives to each other.
They cannot live without each other.
No, but I think that probably happens to a lot of mates who are also in love because you're already deeply in love, and then you have that added element of literally being connected at all times. Like, you are the closest thing to being one person that's possible.
I would mind speak to Ty all day.
Are you kidding? That's what we do when we text.
I know.
It's literally texting in the mind. Like, we get to text, mind speak all day.
All day.
I do it to you all the time.
I know.
It's like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I would be like, oh my gosh, Michael, I have to tell you about this thing at work. And it'd be easier than texting because you're just doing it in your head and nobody knows what you're doing. And it's a lot quicker.
And then be like, oh, Michael checking in.
Be like, yeah. What's it to ya? All right. Well, on that note, another book done. Next week we will be covering Silver Flames.
We will get the chapters.
I think it's chapters 1 through 12.
Oh,
Yes. Chapters 1 through 12.
Follow us on our social media.
Yes.
TikTok is at It's Fate Podcast, and Instagram and YouTube, it's at It's Fate Pod.
Yep. And
like, review,
subscribe to Apple and Spotify and YouTube.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.